This one's going to be a little more of a stream of consciousness than a properly worded or written piece, but I love Chainsaw Man, so I had some thoughts on the stuff that's been happening recently. So, it finally happened. Denji got molested, guys. Unfortunately, this is probably the absolute worst way bro could have got his first nut off. After a series of literal months of his life being sexually harassed, assaulted, manipulated by older women in his life, and then ultimately coming to the conclusion that his dick, as the embodiment of his sexuality, was his ultimate demon, and that the stick gotta go. Maybe the balls too. They make the testosterone, so they gotta be the problem, right? And Yoru offers to assist him by cutting his dick off in the back alley between some nearby buildings. They go back there, he changes his mind, they argue over it for a bit, and then she forces her hands into his pants. Yoru, not Asa, forces herself into his pants. One tally on the I don't know about that one score. Tally 2 comes after she grabs his penis. She remembers as she grabs his dick that this is not, in fact, the first time that these two have quote unquote gotten intimate. The first time was Asa and him at his apartment at her behest, before she was turned into a dog by Nayuta and had her memories wiped. She remembers that they kissed and leans in to kiss him again. Denji's face screams confusion, but ultimately he accepts, leaning in to kiss as well after her second go at him. And she begins to jerk him off to completion, and he finishes in her hands. So here we are. Denji finally got his nut off. But instead of celebrating, he slumps to the ground in the alley as Yoru cleans off her hands in a puddle. Her immediate first response is at first calm, then panicked, to cut Denji off when he asks why they kissed, to tell him that she only kissed him because it felt good. And absolutely no other reason. At all. And that she harbors no feelings for him. At all. In any way at all. In any way, shape, or form. And in fact, that any and all feelings that she felt or has only came from the other her, Asa. At all. Way to clear things up, Yoru. Asa bitch smacks the absolute fuck out of Yoru on her way out the alley, hurting both of themselves, punching and beating on herself even after she gets her body back, crying into the wall that she did, in fact, like Denji. And now he's just going to think she's some slut because she literally gave it up to him in a back alley. And on the train, they both look like they've gone through shell shock, and to varying degrees, they both have. Asa was forced to become a rapist. Despite Yoru being the one to act, it was her body, her hands, her feelings that were Yoru's own one and the same. She, to some degree in her own mind, bears enough of the responsibility here to feel shame on herself, not just, if at all, for what she did for Denji, but the age-old shame that all women, but especially women Asa's age, teen girls, are forced to bear for being at all sexual with another person, especially another young man, especially a young man like Denji. She's soiled herself in her eyes, and Denji wouldn't want her. She holds no value to herself, and that's as much as she thinks she holds to Denji. There's a mix of other feelings in there, of course. Potentially, there's the jealousy that Yoru was the one who used her body for the quote unquote real kiss from Denji, that she was robbed of the opportunity to actually get to perform the acts of both love and intimacy that her body was puppeteered for. There is also more than just a small chance that Asa is too caught up in these mixed feelings in the moment to understand that what just happened to her and Denji was nothing short of sexual assault by Yoru. And this is almost definitely what happened to Denji. When he's been manipulated like this for the entirety of his life at this point, with no real autonomy or ownership over himself, starting as a young boy and ending with the collapse of Makima's reign over his life, Denji is almost used to these feelings. But when this thing happens with Yasa, this on and off relationship the two of them have shared over the past few months, his immediate concern is the one thing he's truly focused on when it came down to it for his relationships. Does Yasa really feel a way about him? Or did she, just like those before, simply use him? First, the Mafia. They owned his body as a tool to pay off his father's debt. Then, Makima and Himeno, and the Rize, Power, and even Nayuta. Himeno used him to try to get off, then vomited in his mouth, then utilized him to try to get what she wanted from Aki. Sure, she became a friend, but only after nearly forcing herself onto the conflicted young man. Rize, who claimed to have fallen in love with him and wished to run away, who helped teach Denji to do math and read and to play and think for himself, before ultimately revealing that the love had been staged, and that she was a powerful devil sent to either kidnap or execute him. She kills some of his friends, allies, whatever, and still, he wishes to run away with her. He hopes that, perhaps, although staged, the flower of love had still actually bloomed, and could grow even further were it planted somewhere else. And Rize, in fact, reveals that it could have blossomed even more beautifully, before being cut down at the stem by Makima. Power is Denji's first real experience with the female body, and it's not at all what Denji had it cracked up to be. First time bro copped the feel on a pair of titties, and not only were they padded, he still didn't enjoy it nearly as much as he imagined he would. In fact, this was enough to get him to rethink his goals and what it was he wanted out of life. It got him to almost remember. And then Makima got her hooks back in him. She ruined not just his relationships with women, but people in general. Got him to kill Aki. Got him to kill Power. Got him to forget his initial dream, his deal with Pokita. His dream to just find a girl to hang out with and play video games with. A girl to just fall asleep with in his arms. She might, in fact, be one of the primary reasons that his perversion went beyond just standard, quote unquote, standard perversion. By making herself the object of his desire, she could shape his activity, shape the very desire itself. And she did. He needed a mother. And she gave him the idea of that and a lover in one. The shelter he needed through the girl he could fall asleep with. She made herself his goal and dangled it constantly. Every woman now compares to Makima, and now with every woman, Denji must go through the same hoops. One of those hoops being, do you really love me? Not only if they truly love him, but if they love him. That they aren't still just there for Chainsaw Man. That they aren't still just there for his body, aren't there on some secret agenda, that they're there for him. Denji and Asa? Denji enjoyed his time. And perhaps Denji thought that Asa was there for him, even if she flip-flopped so hard. Even through her emotional issues and diabolical amounts of autism. She was fun to be around, and enjoyed the time she spent with him for him. And here, stripped to his barest, literally slumped to the ground in an alleyway after being sexually taken advantage of more directly than any other time in his life, is the first girl who's really, truly, unabashedly brought enjoyment to his life in a way that Nayuta simply couldn't. There is nothing. There is just the idea that once again, Denji has been used and cast aside. He's still reckoning with all that. the aspersion of his autonomy is already ingrained into who he is. There is no need for Denji to reconcile with being taken advantage of in the alley, because in order to do that, Denji must reconcile with his entire life. And I'm not even sure if Denji has the current mental faculties to reconcile with the idea that this is an issue he has to deal with. Not even taking into account that one of his immediate stress responses is still, after all this time, putting his finger in his mouth and thinking of Makima. Fujimoto is so fucked up, man. That's my goat. But that man is so fucked up. He's cooking. He's cooking right now. He's fucking cooking. But Tatsuki Fujimoto. Ah, that man is a demon. That's Baphomet. That's a demon, but that's my goat, man. Oh my god.